How's it going, everybody? Brian Alvarez here on Wrestling Observer Live. We are here every day, Monday through Friday, noon Pacific, 3 Eastern, Sundays, 3 Pacific, 6 Eastern. We got a lot to talk about here on the show today. In the final segment of the show, the Doctor of Lucha is going to be joining us. I'm unavailable on Friday. Wanted to make sure that I could still talk to him this week about the Dos Leyendas and the Reyes shows from this past weekend, AAA and CMLL. So he's going to be on to recap both of those things, the Young Bucks in AAA and everything else. That's the Doctor of Lucha, final segment of the show. In the meantime, a lot of news to talk about here today, including SmackDown last night. What did you think of SmackDown last night? I got a lot of thoughts on the show. Give some of them here. I got a lot I got to say on the Filthy Tom Lawler show later on this afternoon. Only for subscribers to WrestlingObserver.com, but the top points we'll talk about here today. Also, whatever's on your mind. I'll talk about whatever you want to talk about. It is a call-in radio show, so you can contact us here, 844-411-5411. That is toll-free, 844-411-5411. Text messages, 425-780-7566. We have raw ratings from Monday night. Daylight savings time did not help the second hour. Either that or Baron Corbin ran everybody off with that Kurt Angle deal. One way or the other, a more stable rating than usual since daylight savings time has kicked in. We could talk about that here today. TJ Dillashaw relinquishing the UFC bantamweight title on Wednesday morning due to testing positive for a prohibited substance on a New York State Athletic Commission test. He has been given a 1-year suspension, a $10,000 fine, dating back to January 19th, the night of his loss to flyweight champion Henry Cejudo. Adverse finding in a test taken for his last fight. He is relinquishing the title. We could talk about WrestleMania. Got a full card here. New signing for All Elite Wrestling and a lot more. As noted, 844-411-5411 is the phone number. 425-780-7566. Text messages. Back in a moment to kick it off. Wrestling Observer Live. Back on the show, Brian Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also WrestlingObserver.com. Well, there's a lot of topics today, so let's see what everyone's talking about here. Got a bunch of text messages, and guess what they're all about? SmackDown! This person, I hate SmackDown with a passion, they said. Completely overbooked Kofi in the Gauntlet match, but everything looks so unbelievable, not in a good way. Had to sprinkle their forced initiative, made it worse. Remember the organic gauntlet last month where Kofi shined? Total opposite of that last night. Could have sworn that was my prediction for this gauntlet match here. And I want to read something here in a while. People send me text messages throughout the day. And last night, after the gauntlet match, I hadn't even seen the gauntlet match yet. But I got this text message from somebody at 10:30 in the evening. He said, I have been a big fan. I pray I get your attention. I've been watching WWE since 1995, but as a black man, I'm ready to cancel WWE. Not only did you take a shot at the end of Black History Month, but tonight's ending of SmackDown is a true meaning of white supremacy. I'm not a racist, but just think of the last black champion. The only half-black champion is the biggest movie star in Hollywood. Am I wrong? Black people are clowns on SmackDown, and to think 3 black men throwing pancakes can actually get over, I'm at the point where I know they don't care about black fans. And I think it's pretty clear that Kofi is going to end up in the WrestleMania match, and he's going to end up winning the title from Daniel Bryan. I think that's going to happen. I don't know for sure, because when I watch the show, there's a lot of things that I think are going to happen, but they don't. So God only knows. But I do believe that Kofi is probably going to get the title shot at Mania, and he's probably going to win the title. Now, if you're upset about this as a black viewer, I mean, all I know is there is a video with Big E up. I think it's on Big E's Instagram. Have you seen this, Mike?
I have not yet.
There's a Big E video up on Instagram, and he goes on this long rant about how they don't know what they're going to do, and he goes on and on about how the company will only let people like us get to a certain level, people like us historically. Like, they're going that direction. That's the direction they're going here. So whether Kofi gets his championship match and wins the title at WrestleMania or not, if you are a black listener, fan, and you're very, very upset about this storyline, I don't blame you one bit. I do not blame you one bit. And that's just one of many, many text messages and emails that I got last night, and probably will get more today. So that in the Andrade Rey story, those are the two biggest things people are talking about on SmackDown. So before I go to Andrade, anything on Kofi, Mike?
I think for a lot of people, when they brought back Hulk Hogan, it raised their antennae up, and it's a different time and different fan base anyway, and I think there's a part of their fan base that feels a little bit more empowered and has the ability to speak out a lot more, and they're been a little on edge for good reason because of the history of WWE and bringing Hogan back and things like that, that they look at this storyline, and I think a lot of them know that it's a storyline, and I think a lot of them believe that, hey, Kofi is probably going to get the win here at some point, but they're cringing over it, and I don't know. There are plenty of there's Rich Latta and Rich Fan, and there are Black Wrestling Podcasts, Black Announce Table. There are a lot of people who have talked about this, and one thing that I've noticed since Hogan's been back, I've heard about WrestleMania 21 more from people of color and just from people in general. And I don't know if that's got to do, again, with Hogan coming back, with Saudi Arabia, with all that sort of stuff. But the thoughts of Booker T and Triple H and those memories from that feud coming back so much and being, and having that dredged up so much, I think says a lot. And it says a lot about how WWE has treated that portion of their fan base. And I think the days of a lot of those people just eating it and moving on are long, long gone.
So the Andrade Rey deal, listen, everybody, I'm not mad that I had an idea and I wanted to see something and they're not giving it to me. I mean, I'm kind of mad, but that's not the issue here, okay? The issue here with this Andrade Rey thing, that it infuriates me, is Andrade and Rey have been feuding for months. And the whole reason that I thought that they were going to go to a hair versus mask match is because when the feud first started months ago, Andrade kept going after Rey's mask, kept going after his mask. I thought, you know what? Got a few months. They can very easily build this up and do a mask versus hair match at Mania. I looked at Andrade's hair. It gets longer every week. He's not cutting it. It's just long hair. So I thought, you know what? They may be doing mask versus hair at Mania. And I was getting excited for it. Every time they had a match, Andrade beat Rey. Babyface lost every time. Then the whole U.S. title thing got started. They end up in those matches. They're costing each other the matches. The whole 9 yards. Rey just can't catch a win. I thought, this babyface, this legend, Rey Mysterio, they have to be doing... Maybe they won't put the mask and the hair on the line, but they've got to be doing a blow-off. So they build it up, and they build it up, and they build it up, and they build it up. And last week on SmackDown, Rey in a tag match beats Samoa Joe. And I thought, well, he got a few weeks left. They could do their title match on television, and Andrade screws Rey, and you have the big blow-off of their match at WrestleMania. So they just announced in a backstage segment out of nowhere, WrestleMania is now Samoa Joe versus Rey Mysterio for the U.S. title. Which, that's a great match. I'm excited to see that match. But the one thing that I thought more than anything else is, as a viewer, as a fan, why do I bother? Why do I bother watching this show? It's just a bunch of random stuff that leads to other random stuff. There's no storytelling here. It really set me off. I was so irritated. Like, dude, do you know that they announced over the weekend that the Gauntlet match was going to kick off SmackDown? Are you aware of that, Mike? They announced over the weekend the Gauntlet match was going to kick off SmackDown. Mm-hmm. So imagine my surprise when SmackDown opens with Miz coming out for a promo. And then they did a bunch of other stuff. and then finally the gauntlet match. They can't even, like, why bother even announcing stuff for a show? Why bother doing storylines? Why bother doing any of this if you're just going to throw a bunch of matches together and that's your WrestleMania card? Is this pass me by, or are we in an era now where, like, he's totally lost his mind? I was so furious during that show yesterday when they just randomly put together that Joe versus Rey match.
It's either too much story or not enough in that case. You know, that's the thing with Kofi is, you know, as much as there is one aspect of it that can certainly be talked about, there's another aspect which is just, everything's been so overdone, and it's not exclusive to that storyline, obviously, because we're seeing it happen with the women on Raw, and we've seen it happen a zillion times before. They pour it on too thick, and for this, you know, overcoming story, it's just been way too much. That's what they do. And there's the complete polar opposite of that's what they do, which is very frustrating, which is angles don't lead into the right places, or don't lead, you know, they lead wrestling fans in one direction, like kind of they were doing with Rey and Andrade, and then they pull that out and go, well, we never promised you that. I mean, it's been this the whole time. What? You know, from a tag match or a match a couple months ago, now we're supposed to remember the tie-in with Rey and Samoa Joe. I don't know. It's just, it's this build to WrestleMania this year certainly has not been stellar. Doesn't mean the card's going to stink or anything like that, or it's got anything to do with the people involved, but I hope next year is not as lame as this, because this has been feeling like one of the lamest ones in a while.
And by the way, this person here says, I don't think race has anything to do with this storyline. I'm going to get into this after the break. Wrestling Observer Live. All right, I retweeted the Big E promo. It's on Twitter, actually, if you want to check it out. And several people here saying, I don't think this story is meant to be racist. I don't think this is a racial storyline. Listen, TV, they have not. This is not aired on television, but this was something that he put on Twitter. It's got 100,000 views right now. It's 4 hours ago. Like, a lot of people are going to see this. And he repeatedly mentions people like us. The company does not allow people like us to get to a certain level. Doesn't allow people like us. So, if he's not talking about race, what else would he be talking about? This is Big E, okay? Is he talking about they don't let giant, strong, powerful men become the champion? Well, it can't be that. That's virtually everybody that Vince has ever put the championship on. Is he talking about tag teams? Because I can rattle off a list of tag teams that broke up and one guy went on to become multi-time WWE champion. Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, you can go on, okay? So if not a tag team, if not a big, strong man, what else could he be talking about? I mean, I've run out of options. I mean, maybe he's talking about dudes that throw pancakes. I mean, I don't remember another group that threw pancakes where somebody became the champion. But, I mean, you could just stop throwing pancakes. So I don't think it's pancakes. There's not a lot of options here about what Big E could be talking about when he says people like us. That's where they're going in this story. Now, whether they bring that to TV or not, I don't know. Because they've done a lot of things with Ronda Rousey on social media that they have not overtly brought to TV, but they have somewhat brought to TV. Her going rogue. A shooter Ronda. Going to shoot on these girls at WrestleMania. So, again, I expect Kofi to be in the main event at Mania, or one of the main events. I don't think they're closing the show. But I also expect him to win the title. So, I mean, from that perspective, I mean, they're gonna give you what you want. But in the meantime, this is the way they're going to get there.
Let's hope they do that. Let's hope they do that. We'll see. But there are a lot of people who are genuinely of the belief that it may not happen. And regardless, again, it's the history of pro wrestling and the history of that company, and a lot of things really do speak for themselves.
These people are all saying, oh, he's talking about comedy acts.
Oh, get the hell out of here.
Comedy acts?
Don't even give, Brian, honestly, you know, for a lot of people, this is a sensitive enough issue. So to give, I can understand if somebody wants to say, I'm 7 years old and I've never lived in life and I don't know anything and I've got my head completely buried in the sand. And, well, I think they're talking about comedy acts, because other than that, I mean, give me a break here when it comes to this type of response to this. It's just, it's either so so just tunnel visioned and blind, or it's trolling, or it's a variation.
No,
of
there's like 8 people that texted me all at once saying he's talking about a comedy act.
Oh, that's just so
It's
ridiculous.
not just one person. There are five. They are 5-time tag team champions. Raw tag team twice, SmackDown tag team 3 times. They won the SmackDown tag team tournament 2018. It's not a comedy act. They do comedy, but guess who else does comedy? You know who did way more comedy than The New Day? The Rock.
DX?
I don't see anybody calling him a comedy act. DX. Let's go to the phones.
But Brian, that's the whole thing. That's why it's all garbage.
Let's go to the phones. You're on the air. What's up?
Hey, Brian. The question that I was going to ask pretty much ties directly in with what you guys have been talking about. So I've been a fan for about 10 years now, and to me, this is probably the worst that I've ever seen as far as just everything being booked on the fly.
Storylines leading to nothing? Yes, you're right.
Yes, absolutely, and that was kind of going to be the question. Can you think any time in the past with another WrestleMania where we've been basically 2 weeks out and there's still 5 or 6 matches that they're not even sure about yet?
Well, I mean, we could go back to that 2000 WrestleMania where they were still doing a main event 2 weeks out. I just watched it last night, which, by the way, is still way better than this. I mean, everybody remembers how dumb it was that Mick Foley did his retirement match in February and then came back for a match in March. Like, it is ridiculous. It absolutely killed that stipulation. But you know what? When Linda McMahon, the robot Linda McMahon, came out and announced Mick Foley as the 4th person in that Four Corners match, you can't even believe the pop that this got. I mean, this was a show that had The Rock on it and all of the biggest stars of the Attitude Era, and the announcement of Mick Foley coming back after a month to be in the WrestleMania main event blew the roof off this place. Like, no, I don't ever need to see 4 McMahons and 4 Corners again. But, dude, the people were into that. Nothing like that today. Anyway, where was I?
And they all look good together on Saturday Night Live when The Rock hosted for the first time.
Yes, let's do this very quickly. Raw ratings, the show was down slightly. The first hour, 2.81 million, fell to 2.72, which is barely a drop, and then only fell to 2.56 million. So a very consistent 3 hours, which has been 2 weeks now since Daylight Savings Time. It's been a consistent 3 hours, which could be Daylight Savings Time. It could also be that people are into the storylines. I can't imagine that being the case, but I'm just telling you what happened.
Plus, if a lapsed fan is going to come back, or one who's not heavily invested, like, isn't WrestleMania season the time that they naturally come back anyway?
And by the way, this is the card. When that guy mentioned there's still matches left, we have 10 matches right now. So this is going to be a long show. Lesnar, Rollins, Rousey, Becky, Charlotte, Buddy Murphy, Tony Nese is confirmed for the Cruiserweight title. Triple H, Big Dave, Kurt Angle, Baron Corbin, Shane McMahon versus The Miz, AJ versus Randy Orton, the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, Samoa Joe, Rey Mysterio, and next week, the Asuka match is going to be announced as they're doing a Fatal 4-Way. It is Mandy, Sonya, Naomi, and Carmella, and the winner faces Asuka. So, if you don't think I'm expecting Mandy and Sonya to double pin Asuka and set up a 3-way at Mania, well, think again. Or I guess all 4 of them could end up facing Asuka. But we're going to have many multi-person matches to get as many bodies on this show as possible. Let's go to the phones. One more call. You're on the air. What's up? Oh, man, the last call? All right. Hey, you're the last caller. You're on the air. What's going on? All right, enough of these calls. I mean, is this that hard? I'll read text messages here.
Maybe he was just trying to gather himself right there. That was the big breath. Or maybe he passed out and that was his last breath. We don't know.
This
it's all a
says,
mystery now.
Don't tell Bruce Pritchard about the Big E video. He'll just say that, quote, People Like Us was about WCW, like he did for the Triple H Booker T match at WrestleMania 19. Amazing the way people will jump through hoops. This person here says, who doesn't get the title, Kofi or Seth? I'd say Kofi is likely to lose over Seth losing. I doubt both will win their matches. Listen, I don't know. I mean, they have pay-per-views coming up after Mania. So there's got to be some heat on Mania to set up some of the pay-per-views afterwards. After all they've done with Kofi, like, they better put the title on this guy at WrestleMania. Seth, I mean, it's Brock Lesnar. He'll probably re-sign again. They may be holding Lesnar off to lose to McIntyre or Roman again. I mean, who knows?
If this pay-per-view and this WrestleMania is really about evolving things, and you have the women for the first time closing the show, you know, if you wanted to actually have some pretty good symbolism there, why would you not pull the trigger? And Kofi, again, why wait? You can always do something with him on that following Monday or Tuesday. They probably will anyway, to do heat. I don't think WrestleMania this year, when it comes to Becky Lynch or Kofi Kingston, is a time to play heat. Sorry, just to me, it's like you've already got enough bad will with people with these two matches leading into it. Just give people what they want and then go back to your nonsense afterwards again.
This person says when they read this line with Booker T and Triple H in 2003, they eventually said Hunter meant comedy act when saying people like you. Booker T?
You have to backtrack out of that, so you say a bunch of dumb stuff that people don't believe. So
I almost blew snot out my nose right there. Booker T is a comedy act? Booker T? We got more here.
You know when he was a comedy act? When they brought him back as G.I. Bro, and people had some feelings about that too. So there you go. There would be the only time you would call Booker T a comedy act. It just
You know what? I could be wrong, but I actually think G.I. Bro was his idea. And I don't even think he was a comedy act as G.I. Bro. I mean, yeah, he's hung out with a guy named Hugh G. Rection, but I mean, I don't know if that
Major Guns.
Not sure if that was a comedy act or not. This person says, next pay-per-view after Mania is a Saudi Arabia show, so they probably should take the title off Bryan since he didn't go last time. It's a good point. probably a pretty good idea to take the title off the guy who's not going to go. Comedy Goose is what he could be talking about. This is 50 of these I got. Swear to God, 50 of these.
Not surprised.
People are desperate to create their own reality. This person here, I got to scroll through to get past all of these. Oh, here we go. Is it a guarantee that Becky closes WrestleMania? There are no guarantees in this company. You kidding me? Are you kidding? Nothing is guaranteed. I'll tell you one thing I can guarantee. There will be a Raw show on Monday, and there will be a SmackDown show on Tuesday. And I'm pretty sure WrestleMania will take place unless there's like a massive blizzard. But that's about all I can promise. I'm a 32-year-old black man that has watched WWF since 1987, this person says. Company has always had a problem with pushing black stars. Look at the gimmicks of the black wrestlers of the last 30 years. All have been stereotypes. Hey, look at what the original New Day gimmick was before they did their turn. Look at it. Thank God Dr. Lucha's on. Back in a moment with the doctor of Lucha Libre. Wrestling Observer Live. Alrighty, back here on the show, Brian Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live, Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com, and thank God we can move on to another topic here today. Lucha Libre, two big shows this past weekend, CMLL and AAA. And Dr. Lucha, I got to start with this, because talking about it on the Observer Radio show with Dave.
Yeah.
And Dave mentioned that some people, I don't know who, felt that the Young Bucks winning the AAA tag team titles was just going to kill AAA. I thought, of all the promotions in this world, all of the crazy things that AAA does, how in the world are the Young Bucks winning the AAA tag team titles going to kill AAA?
It's not. It's not going to kill them. It was a strange angle for AAA fans in that they didn't introduce them ahead of time. They did a lights out bit, and when the lights came up, they were in the ring. This was the main event after the Lucha Brothers had won the titles from Reyes Scorpion and Tejano Jr. So they had just won the titles, and they had this angle, and they had a challenge match right then and there, which the Young Bucks won. And it didn't get over very well with the crowd, to which almost everybody who said, let me rephrase that. The crowd was very quiet during it. It doesn't mean they weren't disinterested. They just didn't know who the Young Bucks were yet. They hadn't been brought up in any of the TV shows up to this point in time. And the AAA fan is, and especially the further you get away from Mexico City, is more of a family fan or more of a casual fan than a hardcore fan. Excuse me. So, yeah, it was a strange angle, and it didn't look like it had a lot of heat, but there's plenty of time to set up rematches where all over the world, including at Triple Mania in early August, and explain to the fans why they should care and what's going on. It's an opportunity. It's not a destruction. And AAA is always in every big show doing a million things at once. Literally, the kitchen sink gets thrown in. Well, not literally, but I mean figuratively. The kitchen sink gets thrown in at every big show, and this was one of the things they did.
All right, so obviously the next question is, we've got the Double or Nothing show coming up. It's the Young Bucks versus the Lucha Brothers. And we also have Triple Mania coming up in August. So are we looking at the likelihood that the Bucks won here, the Bucks win again at Double or Nothing, and the Lucha Brothers regain the titles at Triple Mania, or do you think we'll have a title change at the Double or Nothing show?
Well, that's a very good question, because we throw in a little asterisk here. Phoenix is also the AAA Mega Champion, the top single champion belt. The top belt in the promotion is his, and one would think that on the biggest show of the year, where he's still champion, they would be more likely to put a singles match with him on there.
That's true.
I think what will happen is sometime between now and August, someone will take the singles title away from him, and my guess is it's going to be Reyes Scorpion, and that we will have the tag match with the belts at stake at Triple Mania. I think there's a small, they got to fill up over 20,000 seats in Arena Ciudad de Mexico, and I'm not sure how Demon and Wagner is going to draw. I think it's going to draw better than people think, but I don't think it's a sellout main event. I'm not sure that it's absolutely crucial that the Lucha Brothers go in as the challengers, but I think if I were doing it, that's the way I would do it. And it would probably sell a few more tickets that way than the reverse. But the fact that they're just getting their revenge in Mexico, AAA is much less about belts and much more about revenges and stories and angles and stuff like that. And the fact they're going for revenge will be the big seller to get people to care about this match.
This person here just said he puked a little bit when you said Reyes Scorpion as the Mega Champion. Apparently he does not like that idea.
Reyes Scorpion has his fans and his non-fans, but he is now sitting out there as a very valued, they like him in the promotion, and a very valued person who doesn't have anything else much going on. And he would be I think he'd be a very good representative for, I'm more of a fan of his than not a fan of his. So I think he'd be a good representative as a Mega Champion. But once again, this is AAA and this is Mexico, and it's the place in the world where belts matter the least.
So what are the top matches, the best matches on this show?
Well, there were two for me that stuck out, and I should really say 1.5. They had they had a number of the young high flyers and Jack Evans join in a 9-man match with essentially Royal Rumble style entrances for the Rey de Reyes sword. The final two were Laredo Kid, who is the AAA Cruiserweight champion, and Aerostar, who I think around the world is the most one of the most popular AAA wrestlers. People love him, and hardcore casual fans, everybody around the horn really thinks a lot of him. And Aerostar overcame the odds and got the victory, and he didn't even do a dive off like the top of the
lighting rig,
lighting things. They did a bunch of dives, which is what you expected from them. But I thought it was all well done. I was a little surprised by, and here we're going to go into another angle, the fact that Taurus didn't win. And that is because Taurus, earlier in the show, was the guy who set up an angle with Cody Rhodes. When Cody Rhodes came out, Taurus was the one who fought him and challenged him and presumably set up something for the next All Elite show. And or if not that, then a match at Triple Mania. And I would have thought that, if they're going to feed Taurus to Cody Rhodes, that Taurus would start getting, some big wins and stuff like that. So once they started the Rey de Reyes, I figured Taurus was winning, but he didn't. They gave it to Aerostar. The other match I liked was the Brazo family match, and I only liked the last half of it. The first half was really bad, and the second half I enjoyed just immensely. Not a classic and stuff like that. You got a lot of heat from the fans. They're setting up a match for the hairs between Maximo himself and La Mascara himself. Not any seconds or anything else, just the two of them at Triple Mania. And in this case, La Mascara was powerbombed off the top rope through a table, and Psycho Clown got out. Maximo had escaped right before this, and it was full of blood, and it was full of Brazo de Plata and Goya Kong at ringside doing their best seconds they could possibly do. Brazo de Plata did have the walker with him. It was a really enjoyable scenario to see. I got into that, even though this is not the best use of La Mascara, and La Mascara is kind of coasting. Nonetheless, I thought the second half of this match went really well.
So, for viewers that would like to watch the replay of this, I have turned heel on this Twitch. Are there ways to watch the replay of these AAA shows, or do you have to do it through Twitch?
I don't think you have to. I mean, Brian, this is going to air on Azteca Mexico. It may air on Azteca America. I don't remember off the top of my head of their contracts there. Spice, it's going to be on their YouTube channel. There's going to, if it's not already up through streams, and I mean, it was easily able for people to copy. You could probably see it on somebody's YouTube by now. Just through the normal thing. There's a lot of AAA's camera work, and they're announcing for people who do want to watch it. I got to warn you ahead of time. There's some rough spots. The English announcement with Vampiro is a way to get him over. The Spanish language announcing with Hugo Savinovich can be really grating over 4 hours. And the camera work will sometimes miss spots and sometimes make you just seasick watching as the cameras move along with the wrestlers. So it's an acquired watch, but it's for those two matches you'll get a lot out of it.
All right, let's talk about the CMLL show, which the Dos Leyendas show, the Angel de Oro Niebla Roja main event, Terrible and Bestia.
I'll now get very much calmer and much more serious and less fun, and just drone on and on as we describe.
Oh, you hated this, Steve. You hated it. Was it that bad?
It wasn't. Well, it outdrew the AAA show, and last week on this very show, last Friday, I said I hope the attendance bombed.
You prayed for failure.
I prayed for failure, and it didn't. It didn't. It actually drew very well, which is the second time that they've had La Bestia de Ring in a Dos Leyendas main event, and it's drawn very well, which is just awful portends for future big shows. The main event wasn't bad. I mean, the best Bestia La Ring can do is really, really bad, but he did his best as he could do, and Terrible injured himself in the third fall right before they were going to do the big spots. There were only two people left, him and Angel de Oro, when he dislocated his shoulder. I don't think it was a serious injury, but it allowed them, or it permitted them, I can't think of the word, it caused them not to be able to do the finish they want. They went to, after working on arms the whole match, they went to a Scorpion Deathlock for an immediate tap-out finish. So it was exactly what you expect if you bought a CMLL, if you followed CMLL and bought a CMLL pay-per-view, or happened to see it on a really small TV show in the U.S. or whatever. There were no surprises. CMLL almost never has any surprises anymore. The days of L.A. Park and Rush suddenly doing feuds like that are few and far between in CMLL, even though I should say L.A. Park did show back up to CMLL in Puebla two nights ago. But they are so serious and so stable, and they're so able to get away with making a lot of money with the minimal effort that there isn't any incentive, Brian, for them to do anything but the minimal effort, and that's what this pay-per-view, or that's what this mega show was.
Well, they drew well, Steve. I hate to tell you.
They did. In fact, since we don't know, how many tickets were sold to scalpers and then unsold. I mean, they could have done 14. They could have sold 14,000 tickets, in a building that now seats 15,500, something like that. So,
man,
there's no incentive. Yeah, there's just going to be no incentive going forward for them to have to do anything better to try and make the money they want.
Well, I guess with those two out of the way, what do we have coming up?
Well, the big story is nothing. See, AAA has one show between now and April 26th, and that happens to be, of all things, WrestleMania weekend in Tijuana, the world's most unsafe city, according to the latest study I saw this week.
Really? The most unsafe city in the world?
The most unsafe city in the world.
Wow.
Which is, of course, that's hyperbole and trying to sell a study. It's not. There are parts of it, yes, you never want to go in ever, and there are parts of it that are fine. But so they have one on WrestleMania weekend, which is just great for anybody who wants to work for AAA and also work, the big shows in the U.S. to have to go back to Tijuana on a Friday night, or what's the 5th? Yeah, Friday night. CMLL, the usual. They're heading now for their Arena Mexico anniversary show on April 26th. Well, they'll have something. It won't be a mega show, but it'll be more than a regular show. So they may have the end of the incredible, the Rudo heel tournament, or they may have...
Well, actually, hold that thought. We'll be right back with more Wrestling Observer Live. Back on the show, Brian Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. The Dr. Lucha is here, and Dr. Lucha, what do we got in the upcoming Figure 4 Weekly?
Well, the one that has just come out is the review of the past two shows that in much greater detail than we went over here. For next week, I've already written it, believe it or not.
Wow.
It is, and I will be sending it off to the editors and stuff today. It is a look ahead in a general term for the next 30 days. AAA has the one show. CMLL will be heading towards something for its anniversary show. Who knows? Maybe we'll have Diamante Azul in a mask match against Macias, which will cause everybody in the U.S. who follows CMLL to commit mass harakiri.
We don't want that.
No, we don't want that.
All right, well, that's coming up. What else?
And other than that, we just have to wait for Brian and Orange Cassidy.
That's right. I'm facing Orange Cassidy over WrestleMania weekend. Not sure if you've heard, everybody. And also, don't forget, I'll be in Daly City on March 30th with Filthy Tom Lawler. We're both going to be there. Although I don't think we're doing a tag team match.
Who else is going to be there?
I think we got separate opponents. APWUncensored.eventbrite.com. Are you going to be there, Dr. Lucha?
At the moment, I am.
I'm putting you on the spot to be there.
Oh, no, I am unless, something, work or something. Just
Why, you got an open challenge over there too, boss?
Hey, maybe Dr. Lucha wants to accept.
No, I'm scouting to see who should be in the next, in the sixth main event at Triple Mania.
That's true. 6 main events. Is the Kiss Demon available? Because he's always the main eventer.
Yeah.
I've heard. All right, we're out of time, everybody. Want to thank everybody for listening here today. The Doctor of Lucha. Mike, as always, callers and listeners, everybody in the studio. We'll talk to you again next time. Wrestling Observer Live.